Welcome to this video about updating this particular machine, and for those of you who don't know what this is, the title of the video hopefully would have given it away, but this is the Roland Jupiter-X. It's a synthesizer I acquired earlier this year, and while I've been merrily playing this since I acquired it, I haven't got around to doing any updates on it, which is something I normally do as a matter of course, but I haven't. This machine was delivered with firmware version 1.21, which, if you look back through the firmware notes, is a firmware that was delivered by Roland in May 2020. So a few months ago I actually went onto the Roland website and I downloaded version 1.30, and my intention was to load 1.30 onto this machine, and I haven't quite got round to it. There's been really no reason for me to do an update on the actual machine itself. I thought about it several times, I just haven't got round to proceeding with the update. Then Roland this year have actually released 3 firmware updates for this particular machine. There was version 1.4, which was released in March, 1.41, which was also released in March. Methinks they forgot to put something in 1.4 that should have been there. And now they've released 1.43 in May 2021. So this is being recorded in June 2021. So I'm finally going to install this May 2021 version on this machine. And simply put, the reason why I'm installing it is because Roland have just released the Jupiter-X editor through their cloud platform. And in order to use the editor with this machine, you have to have release 1.43 on the machine. So I want to use the editor. I want to play with the sounds on this machine, rather than having to program everything through this little screen that's over here on the Roland. And you'll see when I put the camera above the machine as we actually start going through the upgrade process. I want to use the one on the computer and be able, because using a computer-based editor is far easier, let's face it. So that's kind of how we're going to do this. Okay, first thing you've got to do is you've got to check what version of firmware you're actually running on your synthesizer. So I'll reposition the camera and then you can see how to do that. To check what version of firmware you're running, press the menu key. Use knob 1 to scroll all the way down to see this information menu, and then press enter to go into the menu. And as you can see, version 1.21 is what is on this machine. Third time lucky. But what I thought we would do at this point was run through the key updates that have happened since the version of firmware that is currently installed on this machine, which is version 1.2. So the next version after that is 1.21, and basically that's probably where you need to move your synthesizer to as a minimum. And the reason for that is because 1.21 enables integration between your keyboard and via USB the Roland Cloud. So if this is not on 1.21, you can't download any content from the Roland Cloud and put it on this machine. Assuming you want to, of course. But that, I think, is probably the base for this synthesizer. In actual fact, this one confuses me ever since the synth was launched. The whole point of this synth was the fact that you can get the engines from the Roland Cloud and you can update them. That was the whole concept that was promoted by Roland as part of Zen Core. So this machine sort of arrived, I don't know, I can't remember when it was originally launched, but they didn't actually make it able to communicate with the Roland Cloud until May 2020. So basically what I'm saying is, if you have a Jupiter-X and probably the XM, then you need to be on at least 1.21 to be able to download stuff from the cloud. Now, I haven't done any downloading from the cloud because I've been playing with this. I mean, it's such a good synthesizer. that you don't actually need stuff from the Roland Cloud, if I'm honest. But now, because I want to change things, that's the reason why I'm looking at the updates. If I skip on to the next update. Now, there are, with all these updates, a number of bug fixes and minor enhancements. Okay, most of which, I'll be honest with you, are they relevant? Are they not relevant? Probably, if you really want to use that feature, then they're relevant. But most of these are not really relevant to the general operation of the synthesizer itself. We next move on to 1.3. And while there are a number of new features that are introduced in this release, it doesn't really have any major I must upgrade my synthesizer elements. The notable feature addition is the ability to move tones between Zencore based instruments. This, I guess, it would be useful if you had a Phantom or a Jupiter-Xm and you wanted to move tones you'd edited on one to the other instrument. I don't have a Phantom, so it's kind of irrelevant for me from that perspective. And I only have the one Zencore instrument, which is this one. So for me, 1.30 actually didn't give me an awful lot. 1.40 is the minimum version you need to be using if you want to put the JD800 expansion pack on this machine, because the support for the JD800's expansion pack was only added with 1.40. So I will be getting that installed because it comes as part of my Roland Cloud subscription, so I will be installing that at some point. And you'll see me the video of how I do that will be on the channel future. The other thing they've said in 1.40 is they fixed, I mean, I found the RD piano hit or miss in terms of being able to use it. And it turns out that if you're in certain modes on this keyboard, you can't use the RD piano. And 1.40 rectified that problem. So it looks like there was a restriction somewhere down the line that stopped you using it. And it has been quite annoying when I've been doing stuff. The RD piano on this is actually really good. For a synthesizer, the piano module they've got on this is actually very, very good. It's very usable. So that's 1.40. 1.41, they didn't own up to much in 1.41, but as I said in the intro, I think 1.41 was oh bugger, we forgot to put this in 1.40, a feature that we've actually published. So that's the reason why I think 1.41 and 1.40 both came out in March, although it's not owned up to. And then 1.43 is the important one if you want to use the Roland SoundCloud editor facility for the Jupiter-X, because that is only supported in firmware version 1.43 and above. So they're the sort of key areas of the firmware. While I've been reading this out, you should have seen bits of the notes pop up over here somewhere, so you can make your own judgment whether you want to install the firmware or not. My recommendation is probably bring it up to 1.43 now. You know, if you were already on 1.21, there wasn't much incentive to move it. Now there is an incentive, so why not go ahead and do it. So this is the part of the video where I do the channel self-promotion. Whiz through this piece if you like, but it is important that I do this within the video. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel and you want to be notified when videos about this or that or this, hit the channel, hit the subscribe icon. If you want to be notified when these videos actually hit the channel, it's the bell icon for you. If you like the contents of the video, please give it a thumbs up. It's the way the YouTube algorithm works. More thumbs, more viewers, good news. Please leave comments. I do read them, I do respond to them, and sometimes they even give me ideas of future videos, which is why I like reading them. Down there is the TMTG community address. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, you guys can help run the channel and support the video production going forward and the quality of the videos going forward. And finally is the Instagram and Facebook feeds. I know a number of you are actually DMing me on those platforms at the moment. Please continue to do so. It's a great medium for getting information to me. And also it's where the main channel notices that don't appear on YouTube go. So back to this particular video. So in order to do this upgrade, you will need one of these things. Okay, Commodore Garden memory stick. Now this needs to be formatted in the Jupiter-X format. The format can be read by your computer, so don't worry about that too much. But it does make a big thing about you need to have this thing formatted by the Jupiter-X. So we'll go and do that in a sec. But before we do that, let's just have a quick chat about these things. These things are now as cheap as chips. At one point you would have been paying an utter fortune for a 2 gig memory stick. Now you can pick these up. In actual fact, I picked up a bunch for various instruments for between £3 and £5 each. So that's exactly what I've done. I've picked up a job lot. I did it several months ago. And the reason for that is I've got a number of instruments that need USB sticks. So I've got one sitting over there for the Kronos. I've got one for the Jupiter-80 because that needs a memory stick, and I've got one for this machine as well. And as I say, they're as cheap as chips, so I thought I'd just buy one and dedicate one of these to each one of these synthesizers for doing this sort of thing or moving stuff onto this platform if it has to be done by memory stick. So my advice is go and buy yourself some of these. I will put a link to Amazon where you can pick up 10 of these for about $30. Okay? Okay, where do you get the update file from? Roland.com. Easiest way to find it is to go to Roland.com and in the search type in Jupiter-X. And there we should have the Jupiter-X appears on screen. So we go click on the picture of the Jupiter-X, and what we are looking for here is this option to download. So we go to download, and this is what we're after. We're after the Jupiter-X system program. So we click on that. And what we then do is scroll all the way down to the bottom of the screen, not quite that far. Go back up a bit. And what you want to do is agree and download the file. And there you have it, it's downloaded to your machine. Okay, the next thing we need to do is we need to take that file. So if I click on the downloads, and it's already extracted the download for me. And while I navigate to it. Okay, once you've downloaded the file onto your computer, what you need to do is you need to move that file from the location you extract it from onto your thumbnail, bosh, and then you need to unplug the USB drive from the machine, just like that. Okay, to load the firmware, first of all, take your USB drive and insert it into the machine when the machine is switched off. Press the right button, which now will put the keyboard into update mode, and switch the machine back on. And what you can see is it's now performing the update. Do not release this key until you see it says Jupiter Updater in the window. As you can see, it's now progressing. It's now reported that it's finished, and to complete the process we need to switch the Jupiter off and then back on. Okay, so it's now finished doing the update. So that's the update process completed. Hopefully that was of some use to you guys. And I'll leave you with my normal greeting, which is live long and prosper, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.